All right. Well, nice to see everybody again. So here's what we're going to talk about this week is on Thursday afternoon, this rover that we've been talking about that launched 8 months ago. Well, that little blue thing that you're seeing in that upper picture is flying, whipping towards Mars at about 12,000 miles an hour. And it's going to arrive there Thursday. And Thursday afternoon, we hope what happens is what you see on the right, that is the Perseverance Rover. We want it sitting on the surface of Mars. And that's actually a little drone right in front of it called Ingenuity. That's part of the whole project. We'll talk about him a little bit too. But my question is, if you were in charge of this mission, if this was your job to land on the moon, I want to ask your teacher to pause the video a second in a moment. Because here's the question: what has to happen in order for the picture on the right to happen? If that's what our goal is, I want you to think like Rosie Revere, the engineer, and go, I wonder what has to happen. What kind of steps? So go ahead and pause for a second, and maybe you can make a list on the board. All right, well, welcome back. And so I'm curious if your list looks at all like NASA's list. Okay. So we've got this huge rocket up here. Okay. And know that it's kind of packed. This is what it is inside down at the bottom. You can see the little rover. This is all that's left of this huge rocket that launched back in July. It's got a cruise stage on the top, which has been controlling its jets, making sure it's going to get there. It's got the shell that's been protecting it. It's got these rocket descent stage that's going to get it there. Then it even has a heat shield to protect it, because when it blasts into the atmosphere at 12,000 miles an hour, you can imagine rubbing your hands together, how warm they get. Well, that happens at a huge level when a rocket comes flying into the atmosphere of the Earth, and the heat shield protects it. That's actually what slows it down at first. Okay, so here's kind of what we got going. These are the steps. This is a NASA diagram that walks us through with, in the left upper corner, you can see it's whipping into space, and then we're going to land it on the bottom. So this is what's going to happen. All right, step number one, we're going to slow it down. And we're going to do that with that heat shield. Okay, and then we're going to pop a parachute. Now, this is not an ordinary parachute. This is a super hypersonic parachute, because it deploys at speeds that normally would rip most things apart. And this is really what's doing the work. The parachute is the thing. If it doesn't work perfectly, boy, we're not going to get our rover down on the ground. So that's step one. We got to slow it down. Then we got to get it ready to land. Okay, because even when the parachute is still going 200 miles an hour, faster than any of you, I'm certain, have ever gone in a car. That's more like the speeds of a jet. So we can't just land on ground. So now we drop away the heat shield. We find out where the ground is. And this cool little rocket delivery system called the descent stage flies off and gets it right above the ground. It's actually rocket powered. So it can't land it because it would stir up so much dust and make a mess of our rover. But it gets it close to the ground. And then some real magic happens. All right, because we got to land it. All right. And so it literally drops it down on a crane. It's flying up, several stories, like a tall building in the air. It sets it down on cables. Boom, it flies away. That lander actually crashes somewhere far away, but it gets it far away from the rover so it doesn't hurt it. Okay. And that's how we do this. That's what gets this rover onto the planet. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, and this is all going to happen Thursday afternoon. All right. And I just wanted to show you. See all those people there? Just in case you thought it was one person doing all this, that's the team that has made this happen. They've been working for almost 10 years for Thursday. Imagine how excited you'd be. Like we're talking from the time before you were born, these people have come to work every day, these men and women figuring out how to make this thing work. And finally, Thursday, they're going to see it happen. Okay, so that's pretty exciting. I mean, literally thousands of people have been involved in making this work. Okay, so that's happening Thursday afternoon. Okay, and from there, okay, you've got a project this week. we're going to take one little piece of the landing system, let you play with it a little bit. So we're going to see what you can do with a parachute and whether you can land something on a target. So good luck with that challenge. Think like Rosie Revere, the engineer. And I also hope you'll stay tuned to see whether Perseverance and Ingenuity end up on the surface of Mars. All right, thanks. Have a great week.